In the decades following Bilbo Baggins' journey to the Lonely Mountain, Gandalf the Grey began to harbor a growing unease about the magic ring Bilbo had found in the goblin tunnels beneath the Misty Mountains. The tale of how Bilbo acquired it had shifted over the years, and certain details troubled the wizard. The strange creature called Gollum, whom Bilbo encountered in those tunnels, had shown signs of unnatural longevity, a deep and almost possessive fixation on the ring, and a desperate rage when it was lost. At first, Gandalf suspected the ring might be one of the lesser rings of power, crafted before the Great Rings, but the inconsistencies in Bilbo's story and the way the goblet clung to the object kept the matter alive in his mind. Gandalf wished to learn how the ring had come into Gollum's possession, and how long Gollum had borne it. In the earlier years of the Third Age's 29th century, Gandalf's concern deepened. He placed watchers in hopes of intercepting Gollum when the creature emerged from his subterranean hiding places. In 2944 of the Third Age, 2 years after Bilbo's return to the Shire, Gollum indeed came out, evading capture and following Bilbo's trail through Mirkwood towards Esgaroth and Dale. There, he learned from overheard words that the thief he sought came from a land called the Shire. Gollum's search for Bilbo drove him back through Mirkwood. The woodland elves began to track him, but he avoided capture. During this time, his presence became a source of fear to men and animals alike. Signs suggested he preyed on the youth of both. Eventually, Gollum reached the river Anduin and turned south. All traces of him vanished. The year was 2951. Sauron openly declared his return to Mordor, reoccupied Dol Guldur with 3 of the Nazgul, and began rebuilding Barad-dûr. Gandalf, drawn into the last meeting of the White Council, was momentarily persuaded by Saruman that the One Ring had long since been lost to the sea, and he set aside the active search for Gollum. 3 years later, Gandalf met Aragorn, son of Arathorn. The heir of Isildur soon became a close ally, and when Gandalf eventually confided his suspicions, Aragorn agreed that they should seek Gollum. The ranger understood the danger. If Sauron's servants found Gollum first, they could learn of the Shire, the name Baggins, and the ring itself. The search that followed was no ordinary hunt. Gollum's centuries of survival had made him unnaturally cunning. He could climb sheer cliffs, swim strong rivers, and endure deprivation that would kill most creatures. His paranoia made him doubly hard to track. He often doubled back, hid in unthinkable places, and left false trails. Aragorn's tracking carried him across Wilderland, from the Vales of Anduin through Mirkwood, and even toward Mordor's shadow. Leads often went cold. False sightings forced weeks of dangerous detours. During these years, Gollum wandered south and east, eventually reaching the borders of Mordor around 2980, where he encountered the monstrous spider Shelob. For decades, his movements remained elusive. Gandalf, meanwhile, returned often to the Shire, noting Bilbo's unaging appearance and growing attachment to the ring. By 3001, after Bilbo's 111th birthday and mysterious departure from the Shire, Gandalf's suspicions was at its height. He redoubled efforts to find Gollum, enlisting the Dunedain to guard the Shire, and once more setting out with Aragorn to scour Wilderland. From 3001 onward, Gandalf and Aragorn's hunt intensified. They traveled the length of the Wilderland east of the Misty Mountains, south to the Mountains of Shadow, and even to the very borders of Mordor. Rumors placed Gollum in the dark hills near the Ephel Duath, but no direct trail could be found. Unbeknownst to them, Gollum had indeed entered Mordor. There he was captured by Sauron's forces and taken to Barad-dûr. During a long period of torment, the Dark Lord pried what information he could from the creature, the words Baggins and Shire. This was enough to send the Nazgul forth to seek the ring. Gandalf, still trusting Saruman's earlier assurances that the One Ring was lost, left the search temporarily to pursue other matters. This decision, he would later admit, cost him many dark and dangerous days. Aragorn too left the hunt for a time, returning to Eriador in 3007 to visit his mother Gilrain before her death early in 3008. By 3009, Gandalf's unease overcame him, and the hunt for Gollum resumed in earnest. He had Aragorn once again searching the wilds, from the Alduin Vale to the marches of Mordor. The work was slow. Gollum left few traces, and the lands they crossed were rife with enemy patrols, treacherous terrain, and dark creatures. In January 3017, events changed. Sauron, having learned all he could from Gollum, and no longer wishing to keep him, released the creature, likely hoping he might lead the Dark Lord's servants to the ring. As Gollum crept away from Mordor, Aragorn, returning northward from his search, found fresh tracks in the Dead Marshes, the marks of small feet moving away from Mordor. Following the trail along the edges of the marshes, Aragorn closed in. He found Gollum lurking by a stagnant pool at nightfall. The capture was difficult. Gollum bit and struggled, but Aragorn subdued him. The long hunt had at last borne fruit. Now, Aragorn faced the problem of transporting his unwilling captive to a place of safety for Gandalf to question. He chose a route westward to avoid Dol Guldur and other enemy strongholds. Crossing the Anduin on a driftwood log with Gollum bound to it, he skirted Fangorn Forest, crossed the Limelight, Nimrodel and Silverlod, and passed near the caves of Lorien. From there, he traveled north toward the Karak, where the Beornings helped him cross the river again. His journey covered roughly 900 miles in 50 days, averaging about 18 miles a day while keeping Gollum restrained. Eventually, Aragorn reached the woodland realm of Thranduil in northern Mirkwood. There, Gollum was imprisoned under heavy guard. When word reached Gandalf in Minas Tirith that Aragorn had delivered Gollum to Thranduil's halls, he altered his course at once. Traveling north, the wizard arrived in Mirkwood on March 23, 3017, just 2 days after Aragorn's arrival. The interrogation that followed was grueling. Gollum's mind was a fractured battleground between malice, fear, and pitiful longing. He hissed, growled, and lied with every opportunity, offering fragments of truth buried under curses and evasions. Gandalf had to sift fact from deception, cross-referencing statements, and pressing Gollum with threats and force when needed. In time, the wizard confirmed what he had long feared. Gollum had been captured in Mordor, tortured by Sauron, and had revealed the words Shire and Baggins. The danger was now undeniable. Sauron knew not only that his ring still existed, but also in whose hands it had last been. Despite the threat Gollum posed, the elves of Mirkwood treated him with strange pity. They allowed him limited freedom under guard, even letting him climb a single tall tree in the courtyard for air and light. This mercy would have disastrous consequences. One night, while Gollum lingered in the branches, a band of orcs launched a coordinated assault into the woodland realm. In the confusion, Gollum escaped into the wild. His freedom meant that the most dangerous source of intelligence about the ring was again uncontrolled, and both the servants of Sauron and the Free Peoples would be searching for him once more. Gollum fled south and west, eventually entering the dark holes of Moria, where he became trapped, unable to open the doors of Durin from within. For more than a year, he lingered in the black depths until, by chance, the Fellowship of the Ring entered Moria in 3019. Picking up Frodo's trail, he began to follow in secret, shifting the hunt for Gollum into a new phase, one that would directly intersect with the War of the Ring. The hunt for Gollum was a shadow war fought in the dark places of Middle-earth, its outcome shaping the events that followed. The ring he once carried was only one among many, each forged with purpose and with peril. In our next journey, we'll uncover every ring of power, from the hands that shaped them to the kings, lords, and dark powers who claimed them. Step into the full story. Watch Rings of Power explained in detail next.